actually came out of a conversation I had with a gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
So Sean Whalen, we both follow and appreciate him in and out of the den. And one of the challenges he gave was put out an expert video. Tell the world you're an expert, right? We won't go into the details of that exercise, but I put that video out and I had someone reach out to me who I only know kind of peripherally in the community through church and what have you. And this gentleman said, "Wow, you look confident. I'm stuck. Can we talk?"
Yeah.
And so I spent half an hour on the phone with him, gave him a couple exercises to do, and come back to me. And he's in a tradesman's business. He's a parts guy for a big John Deere dealer down here in Manitoba. And this blog post came out of my passion for that conversation, Jim. It was this idea that, he wants to change his life. He wants to spend more time with his family, but he's doing nothing.
Yeah.
And because so many guys in trades and service-based businesses, they're manly men, quote unquote,
mm-hmm.
right? They don't want to ask for help. They don't want to admit they have a problem. And, I was raised that way. Everything gets shoved under the rug. You don't talk about it. Like, you figure it out. You don't cry, like all these things, right? And we won't go into emotional baggage. That might be a different show. But the fact of the matter is that couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
Ask for help.
Yeah.
Reach out to people that can help you do what you're doing. And again, tying this back to business, Jim, because I know we're a little off track here, but the idea is the same. If you're feeling stuck in your business and you've got that pile of paper stuck on your dashboard right now, reach out and ask somebody for help. Maybe it's not me, maybe it's not Jim, but ask somebody.
Yeah.
Because there's three key things you can do right now. I'm going to drop a nugget here on the technical side, Jim, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
So there are three tools to utilize, and it ties back to Jim's original point about email. Number one is the free version of HubSpot. I like it because it's 100% free and it's highly customizable.
Mm-hmm.
You can have it up and running, very quickly. Number two is Zapier. We've probably all heard of that, for those of us that on the internet more than 5 days a week. What it does is it connects different tools. And so what I use Zapier for is I use Zapier to connect HubSpot and whatever email program you are using.
Mm-hmm.
My two favorites are MailChimp and MailerLite.
Yeah. Yep.
And the reason I use those two, again, all three of what I'm talking about are free.
And super simple. If you can get your emails on an Excel document, which is already preloaded on almost every computer these days, get your emails on there. It's a drag. You drag that file over, drop it into MailChimp. I use it all the time. I've got about 18,000 emails in my database. And, it refreshes and all that stuff. And there's a little bit of a fee as you get higher up in your email list. But to manage that many emails using MailChimp, it's simple, man. I love it.
Jim, for all your listeners, where did you start with that email list?
Yeah, I started with one,
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and look, and here's a little tip for those listening. I go to trade shows, in this small town in Montana, whether it's a craft show, a gun show, or woodworking or whatever it is. People have business cards on all their tables. I meet them, I get their business card, I thank them, I come home and I upload their email address. They're offering it to me. They're giving me their information, so I upload that. And it takes some discipline to do that, but I'll tell you, it's very rewarding when you're meeting people out in these types of events. Of course, when you're in sales, you're exchanging business cards, and that's the normal way to get them. But when you come home and you start uploading the emails into your Excel spreadsheet and you start a new sheet, it's like, okay, I got 5 names. Next week, I got another 20 names. Then next thing you look like, well, I've got 250 new names to go into my email database. It's funny. Like I just mentioned, is that I've got 18,000 emails in my database. That's the equivalent of selling out an arena for a concert.
Yeah,
right.
And Donna Miller says that each email address is worth about $15.
There you go. So if you think about it, if you think about yourself and getting your message out there of your trade or whatever it is you do, if you could command the audience of an entire arena of 18,000 people, a sellout, that's big. Yeah. That's a big deal. So if you look at your email list as gold in that way, and even if you only had 500 names, right? Yep. 500 names is still a sellout crowd in a local, concert venue.
Listen, I don't know who said it, but start where you are with what you've got and start right now.
Yeah.
And so start going through those napkins and papers on your dashboard. start going through your accounting software. See, and that's where my phrase, I kind of coined it. I haven't heard it anywhere else, but sales approach to operations rather than an operations approach to sales. Because so many of these guys, what they do is, and it's not their fault. I mean, they're just watching what they saw growing up, is they start their business and the operations come first because operations is what gets the work done.
Yeah.
The problem is then they're stuck racing around trying to find more work.
Yep.
You know, and the thing is, how many guys, Jim, have you talked to that go, I don't want more work. I'm super busy until you're not.
Yeah.
Until you're not. And then it's a scramble. Well, if you had been slowly, one bite at a time, taking care of this, putting them into a CRM or putting them into a spreadsheet at the very least, please don't do that. But at the very least, do that. And then you have something to work with when things are slow and you can send out those emails. You can, send out those text messages.
Yeah. I know we're talking about this email thing a lot, but it's so important. I think that emails are gold, definitely worth $15 each. And I'm constantly manifesting those wherever I go. And I've got a stack of business cards I hand out, and I'm happy if somebody adds me to their list or whatever it is, because you can always opt out. But it's a great way to grow your business. It's an inexpensive way to grow your business. And if you get one new customer when you need it, you can't put a value on that. Another, I want to go back to this help you topic. Because I think it's important. You said, hey, tough guys or whatever it is that you feel like you can ask for help. First of all, it's human nature not to want to ask, but it's also human nature to want to help somebody. I can't remember a time that I've said no to somebody when they genuinely asked me for help. Matter of fact, in the den a couple of weeks ago, somebody reached out to me and said, hey, Jim, I see what you do for a living. Do you think we can talk on the phone? And I was happy to take the call. I was happy to walk them through an issue. And I took it a step further because it's been a week. I reached out to him this morning. I said, hey, how's it going? What's happening?
Yes.
And the first thing he said back to me, he says, hey, man, I've really been wanting to reach out and thank you. After our conversation, I did some real thinking, and he went on to talk about where he's made some adjustments. It all came from his willingness and desire to reach out and ask for help. We got to ask for help.
Yeah. I've had some of the similar conversations in the past week and a bit here, doing the exact same thing, because although I've got a lot of things figured out, Jim, I have even more things I haven't figured out.
Yeah.
And I'm finally at a place in my life where I'm absolutely okay admitting that I don't know things. I'm absolutely okay going, hey, Jim, I don't know these things. Do you have any insight?
Yeah.
Whether it's Jim or whomever. And that's where it all starts, I think. And my whole thing is, I gave up for 3 years. If we want to get real personal for a minute, give guys out here some nuggets and some hope. Maybe is I went through a business struggle where I got into business with the wrong guy.
Yeah,
almost burnt my entire world to the ground. Almost lost my house. Like so many things because I was young and naive and had blinders on. That's a whole podcast in and of itself. But then what happened is I gave up for 3 years. But I didn't realize I gave up for 3 years until June 29th, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden it hit me like a ton of bricks. I had just given up. I had resigned myself to being mediocre for the rest of my life. And in that moment, I got angry. I cried a little bit and at myself, and then had a long conversation with my wife, and going full-time into Booth and Vanguard for the first time is kind of what happened out of that conversation. I've always had Booth and Vanguard on the side, helping people, here and there. But I just decided, I'm making a change. I'm pushing forward on this, and let's roll because people need help. Yeah,
they do. Kind of a fun story about asking for help. We mentioned my farrier. His name is Olin Hamilton. He's in his late 60s. Like I said, he's a good old cowboy. I said, hey, Olin, I want to buy some cows. I want to teach my kids how to raise, cows just as a fun little hobby. We leased 10 acres next door to my property so that we can have cows over there. And he felt me out. He knew that I was serious. He says, okay, Jim. He goes, you know what? I'll help you. I want to help you because this is great for you. It's great for your family. It's a great pastime. And you'll have a lot of fun doing it. So now we have 5 cows, and he's been very helpful in the process. But what's interesting about it, the unexpected for me as an entrepreneur, is that from that help to show my kids something, we've actually created a business out of it. I'm wearing my Liberty Cattle Company hat now.
I love it.
We're going to be raising cattle and selling beef and making a business out of this thing from what was what was going to be a hobby and teach my kids something and asking for help from somebody, a little bit out of my comfort zone. I got my farm and I don't want to ask how to raise cows. I should know how. It paid off, and we're going to have a lot of fun. My kids are excited about it. They already know, and they're 5 and 7, but they already know how to make money. I
love it.
No surprise. So, sometimes asking for help in something could really lead to a lot of rewarding aspects of what you're trying to do or where you could go with things.
You know what it does, Jim, to me, like listening to you talk, what I just realized, I had an epiphany on Jim's show, guys. Listen to this here. I think what asking for help does is it makes you vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, you open an honest conversation with another human being.
Yeah.
And so when I asked Jim for help, what that allows is for Jim to go and speak into my life in a genuine way.
Yeah, that's awesome. We don't get to that place often enough in life. I
agree.
Especially when you look at our media and our political environment. It's like we need to ask for more help and be more genuine in our answers and our truths and our support for one another. So
that's why I know you've got more questions, but I just wanted to leave this piece of the conversation with this. That's why I publicly published my core values and what I stand for, because I wanted to be open and vulnerable with the people that are coming to look for me.
Yeah. What are those core values? Because I want people to hear them.
Yep. So to make sure I don't get them wrong, my core values are faith, family, hard work, doing the right thing is always the right thing, speak the truth always, and life is everything or nothing.
It's funny. You've gotten those written down. Again, we have the benefit of video. You've got them written down handy right in front of you. I've got mine in front of me. My values are God, family, health, giving back, time. And the last thing is business, because without all those other things, business doesn't even matter. And I think, but let's make this the last topic, because I think it's so important for people to think about. When I coach somebody, values is the first thing we talk about, because without understanding what your true values are, you can't develop goals that resonate with your life for the long term. And sometimes those values change as you mature. Maybe your relationship with God changes, or you add a family. Maybe you're single and you get married. So those values can twist and turn a little bit. But for the most part, those values remain the same throughout your life. And off of those, you can build your goals. And from your goals, you can have that happiness that most people are looking for. So I think values are so important. I'd love to hear you talk about it a little bit and how you position yourself around your own values.
Yeah. So what I realized, again, just this past summer, because I've had a lot of things happen, and, if anyone wants to reach out and chat about it, we definitely can, and whatever the case. But I had a lot of stuff happen this summer. And what I realized is my entire business career, I've been taught to fly under the radar and just, status quo and make everybody happy because you don't want to hurt business opportunities. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we've all heard some version of that. And what I realized was I was pleasing other people in more ways than one, and I wasn't pleasing myself and living my true self. And before you tune out, because it sounds super hippy dippy, stay with me here for a second. The point is, I got super clear on my core values. I've always been clear on them, but I didn't outwardly talk about them because I didn't want to offend other people, which is stupid. Yeah. Because what I realized was, from a business standpoint, and this is where this ties into business here, Jim, is when you start talking about your core values and living them out on video, in words, like blogs, etc., people connect with that. Again, going back to people like to connect with people. Yeah. Right? And so, sure, you might upset certain people because they don't like what you have to say or don't like what you believe in, but the right people are going to come in. And so I've just started living those core values publicly and unashamedly. I love God. I go to church. I have a strong belief system. I believe that doing the right thing is always the right thing. I jacked that one from Gary Vaynerchuk. That's okay. Because it sounds kind of silly when you say it out loud, but it's the truth, and it's resonated with me ever since I heard it. And so, you just got to live from a place of authenticity, and writing those core values, like you talked about, should be the first place you start, because it's what's going to connect you with yourself and the right people for business.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to one of your values. Doing the right thing is always the right thing. It resonated with me when I heard it from Gary. I had an old mentor tell me this years ago. I went through a divorce, and he says, and it was tough. And he says, Jim, he goes, in the process, be the most